Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Full Potential Show. I'm James Rick. This is your number one non-boring source for personal development. And today on the line, we have Tim Wade. He is a professional speaker, and he is developing and motivating people to produce results. Today's theme for the show is Mindset of Victory. Tim Wade combines psychology with practical business mechanics to help individuals and teams develop their ability to achieve greater results. He developed the V9 profile, which we'll get to in a moment, and the psychology of character development for positive results. Tim has an abundance of resources at timwade.com. Tim, thank you for being on the show today.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, I know you're in Singapore. It's just 5 minutes past midnight, and you're super spry still, so I'm glad you're here and alive. You're not falling asleep on me. I know what it's like.
Spiced food.
Fast food and some coffee. I know what it's like. I lived in Asia for 5+ years, and I used that, the American time zone the whole time, so it's crazy. But thank you for being on with us so late. Let's dive right in and talk about this mindset of victory stuff. Where did it come from? How did you get this idea?
Okay, it came from observing, it came from a number of different ways, different sources. It came from observing the way that people were behaving a little bit differently, and also the way that you could tell people the same set of information and different people would react to it in completely different ways. And I was thinking, well, why is that? They must be processing it or filtering it in a different way. And my corporate history had 15 years of corporate leadership and another 5 years of corporate consulting and speaking. And in those 15 years of the corporate leadership, I had a lot of people coming into the organization. And again, you'd be telling them strategies, you'd be telling them plans for execution. And some people would get it straight away. Some people would be just like, yeah, we can do it. Other people were just like, I don't know, what's in it for me? A group of others were like, yes, it'll be fine, and then go out and try and sort of destroy the whole thing. And a few others would go, I'll work as hard as I possibly can, but really not achieve very much. So I started to see these patterns, and I started to piece it together.
So it really came from, here you are, you're giving them these ideas, these instructions, and you're like, it works. I know this stuff works. I'm trying to make an impact here, and people just aren't applying it in the way that'll make the impact. And you're saying, why is that? And you start breaking it down in this profile.
That's pretty much it. I mean, there's two sides to it. So you're talking kind of the personal development side. There's, look, you can do this, and this is a strategy that's actually going to work for you. There's also the business side, and that is we as a business team of leaders have decided that here's the strategy that we're going to implement, because no business team gets around a table and go, guys, let's come up with a strategy that's guaranteed to fail. They say, okay, let's come up with a strategy that's bound to work, and we're clever people. We come up with a good strategy. You then communicate it really well. You train the people, because they're the two areas that people, particularly in business, think that there wasn't enough of. We didn't communicate it well, or we didn't train the people well enough, and that's why the execution was poor. But there's another level, and that level is the mindset side. How are the people receiving the information? How are they processing it? What are they doing as a result of getting that information?
Okay, so for those of you watching or listening right now, I mean, breaking it down very simply, and Tim, reflect back this to me if I'm getting this right. The first part of it is the mindset of the people that come to the table. The second part is the development of a strategy that's working, and the third part is communicating that strategy to people who care to implement it. Am I breaking it down, or is there another piece to this?
No, you're breaking it down really well. That's the order that it needs to be communicated in. However, what tends to happen is people communicate the strategy and their expectation of the outcome. So they pretty much say, ladies and gentlemen, and this could be in personal life, this could be in business. They go, ladies and gentlemen, here's the result we want, and here's our strategy now. Take the actions that will give us that result.
Mm-hmm. Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Then people go, okay, so we need to take all these actions to get that result. And then there'll be a group of people who go, let's do it. And so then they just go charging off to do it. There'll be another group of people who will say, you got to pay me more to do that. There'll be another group of people who say, this is never going to work in a million years. I'm going to prove that it's never going to work in a million years. And I'm going to make sure I don't do anything. And when the result doesn't happen, I will have proved that by not doing anything, it didn't happen. Whatever logic that is. And then there's the fourth one, which is the group that say, I don't really know what to do, but I'm going to get busy doing something, and they may not actually deliver anything.
Yeah, you've nailed it. I mean, this applies to not only in business, but I mean, this applies to, you could say, in sports or some, people that just have to get that strategy on. All need to get on the same page. All need to be on the same team. But yet you have this division, and I think you've kind of nailed it, where they're kind of going in different directions. So here you've identified the problem, and that is the way that it normally works is these managers, they sit at the top, they strategize, they come up with a goal, this is our result, and they communicate it and say this is what we need to do, and then you have this division once it gets to that next layer of actually implementing it, which is why so many strategies fail or get half executed. What is the answer? Is this V9 profile that you created the answer to kind of working with these different character types, or how do you approach it, Tim?
The V9 profile is a light bulb that sheds a light on what's really happening. It helps people increase their awareness. But there's another side. So just in case there are people watching that aren't the business side, there may be just the personal side. And they're going, well, I'm not really there, but I've got a bunch of personal goals that I wrote down, and I didn't actually achieve any of them. Why? I really wanted to. They're my goals. So I've got a vested interest in achieving those goals, but yet I still didn't do anything, and I'm now unfulfilled. I haven't reached my full potential, and I'm almost angry, and now I need to blame someone.
Okay, so and I want just to touch on this point for a minute. What you're saying is the same thing that can happen in an organization with multiple people can happen with an individual within themselves, right? They can strategize, have an idea 100%. For implementation, have a goal, and still not carry it out.
100%. I mean, and we all do it, really. I mean, we have a whole list of goals. We might achieve these ones, and then we didn't achieve these ones, or we may not have done some of them. I mean, I've certainly been there in the past where I've got this grand list and I didn't do anything. I've also had grand lists where I did do stuff. So I'm also able to reflect on my own personal behavior.
Never. We would have a strategy and these goals and not accomplish them. I'm sure that not many people can relate with that, Tim.
It happens, especially about the 18th of January. We've forgotten about all our goals anyway.
Right, and then we wait for another year to replan them. So, all right, so I'm guessing you have a solution to this mess. What do we need to do?
We're hoping so.
I'm hoping this just isn't a doom prediction of what we're going to do here.
Yeah, no. Okay, so look, like I said, the V9 profile, and this is going to look a bit peculiar, but I'm going to do that, and what you might be able to see there is what the profile kind of looks like. There's 4 different mindsets, and there's 9 characters. If you just go to the website, you can have articles, and they'll just tell you all about it. No problem. Okay. But essentially what it is there's 4 key mindsets. Now, if you look at the consulting model, and you've got this graph with a 2x2 matrix, which most consulting models have. In other words, they've got 4 boxes, and there's 2 axes. The bottom axis is relationship with yourself. Okay. The other axis is relationship with other people. So we either have a positive or negative relationship with ourselves, or a low and a high relationship with ourselves, or we have a positive negative relationship with other people, or a low or high ability to relate well to other people. And
generally there's a correlation. If you have a negative relationship with yourself, you're kind of going to have a negative relationship with others, and you're in that sort of bottom quadrant you're talking about.
Well, there's 4 as a result of that. So if there's just positive, negative on each one, there'll be 4 bits in the middle in the graph.
Right. So anyway, positive, top right.
Got it.
Positive with yourself, negative with somebody else's. Yeah, I got you. So for those of you listening to visualize this, just imagine 4 quadrants. The positive is going to be top right, and the negative is going to be bottom left. And then if you're positive with yourself but negative with somebody else, it's going to be on the lower right. And
at just about this moment, there'll be an image appear on your screen, which will pretty much show you. Okay, so what it says is those who have a positive relationship with themselves and a positive relationship with other people tend to be in this mindset of victory. This is this victor mindset. It's very much a yes, we can, not just yes, I can, but it's yes as a group, and me with the other people. We can make this happen. We may not know how. It's like, my goal is I'd like to fly into space. How am I going to make that happen? I don't know, but maybe I need to make the money happen and hop on Richard Branson's ship and fly up into space that way. But if that's the goal, cool.
Yeah,
so,
yes we can is no matter what the goal is, I'm going to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, yes we can means it's possible. So yes we can is about positive possibility mindset, positive possibility thinking. It's possible, and I'm going to be positive around it, not naively closing my eyes and wishing there's a Ferrari outside, but actually saying it's possible that I could get one. It's possible that I could do what it takes to have one.
Right.
So
okay.
now,
Possibility thinking. Yeah.
You got it.
Not wishful thinking, possibility thinking.
It's positive possibility thinking. So there is an action set that comes with it, but the mindset is yes we can. It's mindset of victory. Now down the other opposite quadrant from the victor is the victim. The victim has a poor relationship with themselves, and they tend to have a poor relationship with other people. They might have a close group of people that they talk to, but effectively, they don't feel great about themselves, and they want to blame everybody else. There's zero accountability. It's not my fault. If only that curtain had been blue, my life would have been different. But I can't do anything.
And then that creates a state of powerlessness. Whereas the other one is, it's a possibility. I know I'm going to need to take action to make it happen. Some might say it's a blind optimism, but you're saying it's not wishful thinking, it's possibility thinking. Whereas the other one is victim mentality. I'm powerless over the possibilities in my life. They could even say it might be possible, but I couldn't do it. It's the damn curtain. It's this person.
Exactly.
Exactly. I can't do
it's not my fault. It's sales. If sales hadn't done this and this and this, then this would all be fine. And so they're complaining a lot, and it's never their fault. They're not thinking of solutions. They're not thinking
excuses.
of what is the positive
the mind
possibility.
is coming up with reasons why it's not working.
Exactly, and you'll convince yourself eventually if that's what conditions the mindset.
And that's key. What you just said there, Tim. Conditioning the mindset, because in the end, especially the older we get, the mindset is really just a condition that has been conditioned.
Yep.
And then we just have to recondition it to create a new mindset.
Absolutely, because the saying you can't teach an old dog new tricks is because of conditioning, but you can. You just have to recondition. You need to break.
It might be a lot of work too, but it can happen. Yes,
absolutely
we can. It's possible.
Yeah, absolutely, it can happen.
Yes.
Okay, but there is an action set, so it's not just yes we can, and everyone just goes yay. You've actually got to do something as well. So, but then there's these two others, and that is the mindset of the mercenary. The mercenary is fantastic relationship with themselves, poor relationship with other people. So now think assassin on the rooftop. There's a laptop. Once the money drops in the Swiss bank account, bang, they shoot someone. They're very good at what they do. They just don't care about anybody else. Just show me the money, I'll do it for $5 million. Bang, right. Whatever. Okay, so they don't really care. Yeah. And so now they're in every organization as well. And some of them are top performers in the organization because they're very mercenary. Show me the money and I'll do it. And they may do a great job, but if they ever get into a leadership position, they're going to struggle. And typically that's what happens. You get a top salesperson who may be thinking like that. Not all salespeople are like that, but a top salesperson who may be like that. The organization goes, wow, if we could replicate their results, let's make them a manager of 10 people. We can replicate their results. All you do is you lose a great salesperson and get a lousy manager. So what needs to happen is they need to actually start working with other people. They need to start building relationships with other people. Now, usually, quite frankly, if they're a top salesperson, they've got good relationships with other people, or at least the ability to.
But the idea here is they could be on the positive side, this self-efficacy. They're excellent at what they do. They have this incredible rapport with themselves, confidence in what they can do, but they suck at being able to communicate with other people.
Yeah, they may be just going, you got to do this because it's my bank check happening here.
Yeah, and then, more of a dictator kind of leader too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What tends to happen is the leader then drops into these are the characters now we're starting to go into the leader and the loner. But when ego starts getting into play for the leader, they can drop down to that mercenary area. Okay, so we'll come to the characters in a minute. Let's not overcomplicate it. We've done 3. There's a 4th. The 4th one is the other end. So this is the one that has a poor relationship with themselves, but they've got a really great relationship with everybody else. These are the martyrs. So you've got the victor, the victim, the mercenary, and the martyr. Now, the martyr is the one who will do everything for everybody else, but inside they're suffering. And the reason they're the ones that may stay at work till 10 o'clock at night, hoping that the boss sees them. And then they're the first ones there in the morning going, I'm here. And then come bonus time, they don't get their bonus, and they go, what happened? And it's because they didn't actually complete anything. They were there long hours working really hard, and and what they tend to do is, because they've got a great relationship with everybody else, they go and get everyone else together and they go, I had it tough today because of this and this and this and this, and I did all this work and I didn't get my reward. And then the other person goes, you thought you had it bad. Well, listen to my story. And they form these sufferers clubs, and they all get together and they suffer together. And they love that because that gives them that sort of connection need that they have, but they don't actually complete. What they need to do is focus on completion. If they would complete, they could start shifting to the mindset of victory.
Okay, so these people are incredibly good at building rapport and connecting with others, but they're low performers. So you've got, and this is what you call the martyr. They're kind of the pleasing people. And they do such a good job of pleasing others that they're great at it, but they fail when it comes to actually performing in other aspects of their job, 100%. Of doing the things that need to carry the strategy forward.
100%. So if it was a personal goal, they might be going, I really wanted to achieve that goal that I'd set for myself, but I didn't because, whatever. And maybe it's like their goal is, I want to have a great relationship, and they had a lousy one, and they just go to all their friends and go, well, the problem was I tried really hard. Everyone goes, there, my relationship's lousy as well. And they go, there, and they all there each other. No, nothing gets fixed.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do a quick rundown on these.
Can end up blaming other people.
Let's do a quick rundown on these 4 types. You've got the victor, you've got the victim, the martyr, and the mercenary. Got it. Okay. Now we're gonna have to blast through these profiles quickly, and then identify some key things that somebody can do walking from this interview. Because I think what we've done is I see your approach here, which is great. You're creating the awareness of these different profiles and these different areas that somebody could identify with and say, that's me. I know, or, I know that guy. Oh boy, he's definitely that mercenary. He shoots us every day. You could have this clear awareness of these identities in the organization that you can see where there's conflicts and contradictions, and then get everybody on the same page. And now we're going to go into these 9 profiles, right?
Well, yeah, these are 9 characters or behaviors or attitudes or the ways that people react and the roles that they actually take on. And these 9 characters is what I call them. These 9 characters overlay these 4 mindsets. Okay. So it gives us an idea.
So do some of these fit into different quadrants then? Each one of these profiles fit in different quadrants?
Yeah, so if I put that back up again. Okay. I know it's microscopic, and we can overlay it with something else perhaps in a while, but we've got the 4 quadrants, and over the top of those are 9 character types. So that means this character is sitting over the top of 2 different mindsets, for example.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there's one, so it's like a box of 9 overlaying a box of 4. Okay. But there is one that overlays all 4 of them, and that's the key takeaway that everybody can take from today.
Okay, yes, that's great. Okay, so let's focus in on that one. It overlays all 4, and this is the balance that you want to have a balance of each of these, or what is the idea here?
Actually, yeah, what we want to oscillate between 4 of them that overlay the mindset of victory. We don't want to just sit on one. Okay. So this is where, now let me just explain it so that everyone knows what we're talking about, because I'm confused right now. Okay. So let me start with the leader. Okay. The leader is one of the characters. Now, the leader is the character that sits over the top of the mindset, the victor mindset and the mercenary mindset. They sit over here. Okay. They're on the far right in the middle. Okay. If that makes sense. Okay. And the leader then overlays the victor and the mercenary. Now, why do they overlay the victor and the mercenary? Well, we want to have leadership qualities. We hear everybody talking about, you got to be leader, you got to do leadership. It's all about leadership. Mm-hmm. Well, leadership has got 2 responsibilities. One is it's got a responsibility for doing what is right and taking people in a direction that maybe they don't want to go right now. Mm-hmm. So you've got to do things that sometimes are unpopular and are a little bit mercenary sometimes.
I see what you're saying. You can't always be about pleasing others when you're leading. Sometimes you have to do what's not popular.
Yeah, you got to do what's right sometimes. Mm-hmm. over what is popular, and then people get there and they go, okay, that was the right thing to do.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's it's painful along the way, but it's for their best interest.
Yeah. For example, Greece right now, the country, needs to do some things that are unpopular, like financial austerity to be able to pay all their debts. I mean, that's a huge thing that's unpopular for any leader there to have to champion. And as an opposition leader, all you need to say is, well, we're going to make sure that you're all wealthy, and then the other guy will get thrown out. But they still need to do it.
It's a great example, too, Tim, because in politics, they have to try to serve everybody's pleasing to get the vote. But at the same time, if they're really going to take the country in the direction it needs to go, sometimes they might need to do what is unpopular. And that's the dilemma, right, of politics. You're no longer in these dictatorships, kingdoms. It's democracy. And with democracy comes pleasing the vote.
Yep.
It's a challenge.
In politics, there is a balance between doing long-term responsible action and short-term responsible action, but also action that will continue to keep you in power so that you can continue to do the long-term responsible action.
What a great example. Yeah, that's great.
All right, so the leader has to be a bit of the victor mindset is the yes, we can, it's positive possibility thinking. We need to go in that direction, but I need to do some things that may be a little bit unpopular. Now, if the leader at some point turns around and goes, wow, because effectively a leader has a vision and a mission, i.e. a goal, and the power to influence other people to join them to help them make that goal a reality. Now, each one of us has that capacity. We've got that ability to define what it is our goal is and influence other people to help us get there. Maybe it's sitting in a job interview going, well, my goal is to get the job, and now I'm going to influence you to help me get the job. I mean, that might be it. And so that they're influencing people.
Yes.
However, if the leader looks behind them and goes, wow, I've got all these people following me, I must be pretty amazing. And then they start going to ego. That's when they drop down to the character of the loner, which means they're very much in the mercenary. It's all about them. It's high ego. It's their name. It's their name on, everything. Not the James Rick Full Potential show.
No.
That's branding. That's different.
Yeah. And it's an important distinction. But what you're saying is that the ego draws power from this role of being a leader. And a true leader is also able to discipline themselves to not fall into full-on ego, which is easy to do when you're in a position of power. And I think it's an important distinction that you made. So many leaders have fallen within themselves first before they ever fell publicly. And what you're saying here is be aware that when you move into a leadership role, the ego has a tendency to want to draw power from the people that it's leading, from its role, and that is actually going to lead to its ultimate doom and demise for the people that you're leading.
Absolutely, because those people who are following you, who are the seekers, will leave you because they're looking for development. They're not looking for an egotistical, it's all about them. So the leader that falls to loner becomes, it's all about me instead of all about we. And the whole thing about yes, we can, it wasn't yes, I can, it's yes, we can. We can do it together. Even if you're by yourself, whatever your spiritual conviction, it will be yes, we can. Okay, so the leader, the one above the leader, so there's the loner, the leader, and the one above the leader, all they're very positive with themselves, is the developer. And the developer is where the leader is now starting to develop other people. And they're starting to develop themselves, they're developing other people, they're developing people's businesses, they're developing their clients' businesses, they're developing relationships. They're in development mode. Now, if you're a parent of a 2-year-old, you're a developer in that role as a parent because you're going, you want them to do, that they can do it. That they've got not only the potential, but they absolutely will do it. They'll stand up, they will walk, they will talk, they will do all these crazy things, they'll ask amazing questions, and you'll be just developing them like crazy. But then we go to work and we may not be the developer. So one of the important distinctions here is that we try and make sure that we're consistent across our roles in our life in operating out of the mindset of victory. But the developer is one of the ones in the mindset of victory.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, is that we can play different roles and be the developer. And what you're saying is, don't go from being this developer in this parental role and then move into your work and then feel powerless or victim. You could move from empowered to disempowered. You're saying to try to create this sense of empowerment in whatever role that you're doing, by also not only looking to help and encourage and lead others, but also to develop others in whatever role you're in. Even if you're in a role that's not a leadership role, at some level, you can still be a developer of self and developer of the people that you come into contact with, even if you're just a model, a good example of
absolutely
of development. Yeah.
It's consistent authenticity. So what we want is that you are authentic as a developer at home, and you can still be authentic as a developer at work, even if you're the janitor. I mean, you can be developing other people, you can be developing the business, you can be developing systems to be able to do things better. But you could be, it's all a matter of mindset, perspective, and what we focus on.
Now, Tim, is this the middle one? This is the highest level that
you wish it was, but it isn't. Okay, I'll race through the other ones because I've kind of described them already, and I'll come to the middle one. I did mention it earlier, but okay, so we've gone through the loner, the leader, the developer. On the other side, at the low self, but various on the relationship with others, is the destroyer,
okay,
which is the one down the bottom. They're the ones that just want to sabotage everything and make sure that everybody pays and they blame everybody else. That way they feel okay. It's all ego defense mechanisms coming into play to defend our own sense of identity. The one in the middle there that sits over the top of the victim as well as the martyr, the one that sits in the middle of those two is the follower. Now, followers, there's been a few business books talking about the value of followership, and it's very, very important because a leader needs a group of people helping him do stuff. They don't necessarily have to be followers. But the way I define follower here is that a follower is somebody that doesn't have a clear vision and mission for themselves, so they're happy to adopt the vision and mission of somebody else or some other organization, and that's going to be their vision and mission. The danger is if they get made redundant, laid off, or whatever, their sense of identity is tied up with that particular vision and mission, and they may be at a loss. And this has happened to me before. And I was completely surprised. And also, I just went into this, oh my gosh, my identity was completely tied up with that company and with that person in the relationship I was in. And when they both went, I was just like, who am I? Because
right.
They're just taking away me. I'm just like this guy now with no sense of self or purpose. So what do I need to do? And then this is all this self-discovery stuff starts to happen. Okay, so that's the follower. So the follower, what's great about the follower is you tell the follower to do something, the follower will do it. If you say, well, what on earth are you doing that for? They'll say, well, you told me to do it. So they're not taking accountability, like the victim doesn't take accountability, and they'll work to a degree. They'll work quite hard to make sure that happens because they don't know yet what they don't know. They're in that unconscious incompetence. They really don't know, so they're just doing what they're told to their best of their ability. As you'll see, when people come out of grad school or whatever it is, and they come into work, they think immediately that they should be, because of their degree, promoted immediately to CEO or at least one level down. And yet, they haven't had any worldly work experience, and so they don't have any experiential hooks to hang that knowledge on yet, and they haven't sifted it out. So they may be sitting there being a little bit angry, but at the same time, their eyes are open to this big new world, and they're just going to follow. And that's great. In spiritual context, we are called to follow, but at the same time, in the context of this sort of personal development, what we really do is we're called to seek, which is the one in the middle, but I'll come back to that in a minute.
Okay.
And really, in like 60 seconds.
Look, I love how linear this is, like how organized you've got all of these things. And I can tell, I think everybody can tell that there's so much here that you're trying to get into this one interview that it's hard, but I appreciate the effort you're making to do that.
No problem.
And the thing is, I want you to go through the last remaining pieces, and then I want to identify the few keys that somebody could take away and focus on. And then I encourage everybody who's watching or listening right now to get the full gusto of what you're talking about. They can go to timwade.com. I know you got a lot of articles and resources there, right, Tim?
Thank you. You. Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay. So, I'm going to try and do this in 30 seconds. Completely impossible, but anyway, positive possibility thinking. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. The top one there is, so the top one I've kind of already discussed before. That's that martyr who is the sufferer. The sufferer defines their identity based on the opinions of others. This is why they don't complete anything, because when somebody comes up to them and says, I need you to do this work, they go, yes, I can do it. And the person goes, thank you very much. And they go, wow, I feel good about myself because they like me. Then somebody else asks them to do something, and before too long, they've got this huge pile of work, but they feel great about themselves. Then that person comes back back from the beginning and says, I need that report, that article, that thing, whatever it is now. Where is it? And they go, well, I haven't finished it yet. And you said, well, I needed it today. And they said, well, but I've got all this work. I've been doing all this work. I'm suffering here. I'm working till midnight. Yeah, and the person goes, well, I don't like you anymore. And then they go, well, I don't like me anymore now. So what do I have to do? I need to get some more work. And they don't need anything. Okay, so they need a time management program, but they really don't have time to do it. Okay. Then the other two, which I'll just fly through, is up here in the middle is the giver. The giver sits across the mindset of victory and the martyr, because a giver can just give until eventually they're exhausted and they've got nothing left to give. Or they can give in a smart way. They can give effectively because they've also got to be able to receive. But at the other end, at the opposite end of that, is the taker. So you got the giver and the taker. The taker is the one who hoards everything, and they live in this sort of scarcity mindset. They don't want to share with anybody. And in an organization, you get silo mentality. You got people protecting their turf because they've actually got something to lose. They don't want to lose their job.
That's going to create their security. They know how to do something.
And there's TV shows where people have just hoarded whole housefuls of stuff and they just can't let it go. And it's because it's creating this sense of, I've got some value here, but I don't know what it is. I can't make any use of the value, but I know it's valuable. But if they actually gave it to somebody else, that person could create value for both of them, which is, that's the principle of a good idea. But then everyone goes, oh, that is my intellectual property. So then they sit on this great idea. They don't do anything for 20 years. And then somebody else in Italy invents it and they go, but it was my idea, and then they go victim and everything else. And they tell all these stories. Go, well, actually, I invented, the wheel.
Well, here, this is commendable, Tim, because in less than 40 minutes, I think you've defined every individual in an organization and the whole of humanity. So here we have this dynamic civilization and culture and organization and even individual. On an individual level, I think we hop in and out of these different roles. I want everybody who's watching and listening right now to at least have clarity on where they're moving towards and recognize that once in a while, nobody's perfect. We all fall into these different dynamics, some serving us more than others. But the key is to focus on this consistency in all areas. And what is it the developer then, Tim? Is that the key, or is it a combination, a balance?
You got it. It's a combination.
What is the goal here?
The one right in the middle that sits over the top of all four mindsets, which is the doorway into the mindset of victory. It's not the place you want to stay, but it's the doorway, is the seeker. Okay. And the seeker, I mean, quite frankly, everybody watching this has got that seeker character right now because they're watching this. So, and the fact that we're asking these questions of each other is very seeker-like as well. The seeker is the person who asks questions. They're curious. They want to learn. They want to grow. They want to develop. And they're asking questions. And they're at a position where they're not arrogant, saying, I know everything. They're saying, actually, I don't know everything. I need to learn. Even if you're the developer, if you're a teacher and you don't go to seeker every so often, you'll be teaching old stuff before too long.
Great. So you've got to be learning and you'll think you know it all. And that's the fall, right? The developer thinking they know it all, teaching old stuff, not open to new ideas. If you're a seeker, you're forever humble in knowing that you'll never completely know everything 100%.
The fall leads to humility or denial. If it goes to denial, people will repeat the pattern and fall again. If it goes to humility, they'll start connecting with self and with other people and not thinking so much in ego, and they'll start going to seeker to go, why did that happen? Not blaming everybody else, but they'll be going, why did that happen and how can I avoid that happening again?
They're in the seeker mode.
They're in the seeker mode. So the seeker is about asking great questions. It's about asking empowering questions that will lead you to the solution, questions that, because you can look in the mirror and go, why am I so fat? And the response will be because you eat like an idiot, you don't do any exercise, you drink too much beer, and you're a slob. And yet, if I said, well, how can I, even if I'm like 200, 300 pounds, I could say, how can I get even fitter? Which is like, I'm seeking a positive possibility here.
And so that's an important clarification too. Not only seeking answers, but seeking it through empowering questions, you're going to get the empowering answers.
Absolutely. Seek and ye shall find. If you seek the negative stuff, you'll find it. If you seek the positive stuff, you'll find that too. It's just about opening our eyes to what is possible and opening our eyes to where we're really at, rather than playing this game of deception to make ourselves feel better in the public eye, but rather to say, who am I really, and what do I really want, and how can I get there, and how can I help others?
Tim, just awesome questions. Excellent job, and really covering a lot of ground in such a short period of time. Are there any final thoughts you want to leave folks with before we wrap up today's show?
Okay.
And you've got a lot of them, and I know the final thought here is really developing this mindset of the seeker. Really, I mean, is that the final thought, Tim?
Well, no, the final thought actually is to oscillate between those 4 characters that sit on the mindset of victory. And the 4 characters are the seeker. So now start practicing to ask better questions. Start determining, what is it I really want? Ask these questions. Seek. Ask questions that will lead you to the answer, not questions that will lead you away from it.
Okay.
To your goal. Be the leader. Have a vision and a mission, and develop your power to influence others and communicate effectively to be able to let them help you, which is sometimes asking for help. Seekers do ask for help. Be the developer. The developer is the one who starts to develop, well, is looking at developing themselves, developing their business, developing other people's business, developing teams around them, up, down, and alongside. So it's their manager, developing their manager. I mean, what a concept. Try and help develop your manager. Try and develop your peers and develop your team.
No matter what level you're at in an organization or in your family, these all apply. You can still be a leader, a developer, a seeker. Yeah.
Even if you're a homemaker, you can help develop the people in your community. And then also there is be the giver. That's the 4th one. The giver. And quite frankly, what I've just said there is every spiritual text talks about those 4 things. Develop other people. Be the seeker, give, and lead. Do what's right, and go towards the goal and do what's right. So really, by being those 4 things, by developing other people as well as yourself, by giving of yourself, your energy, your enthusiasm, your time, as well as your resources, including your money, but give and invest. And also, as the seeker, ask better questions. As the leader, go towards your goal.
Awesome. Tim, you are the man. Man, awesome stuff. Everybody who's watching or listening right now is probably going to need to go through this one more time, but now we know the end result here is the development of these 4 characteristics that can truly make you an empowered person and a valuable person in an organization and in the community at large. Those 4 things, once again, are to be a developer, a seeker, a leader, and a giver. Tim, I think you've given us a clear path up the mountain, my friend. Thank you so much for being on today's Full Potential Show at midnight. Look at you. You charged up. Are you just,
I get this. This is empowering. I love it. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everybody, for really going through all of this. There were times where it was a little bit confusing, but you got there. The articles that I've written are very, very easy to follow. So please go and check them out. And thank you so much, James, for having me.
I appreciate it, Tim. Everybody go to timwade.com. You'll be able to get more of the depth of what he's talking about. He's got a bunch of articles and resources there to really guide you through this. timwade.com, professional speaker, organizations looking to march your people up the mountain. Tim Wade is your man. Tim, again, thank you, my friend, for being on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. Well, that concludes this week's episode of the Full Potential Show, your #1 non-boring source for personal development. I'm James Rick, and if you want to get more positive programming for your brain absolutely free on a weekly basis, just visit fullpotential.com.
If you like the Full Potential Show, you're going to love the Full Potential Club. What would you like most as a Full Potential Club member? Be 2 to 3 times more productive? Do what you're passionate about? Have more energy? Reduce your work hours? Travel the world? Enjoy an amazing lifestyle on a frugal budget? What if you could do them all? James Rick has been there and done it in ways that few people have. For anyone serious about taking their life or business to the next level, you know you've got to do more than just watch. You've got to do. Join James Rick and other like-minded people for an incredible $10 a month at fullpotential.com/club. Be educated. Be empowered. Be the best version of you. fullpotential.com/club. Try it free for 30 days.